This was funny over the weekend. They rolled out Joe Biden, old Joe Biden, little bit of dementia, apparently stage 4 cancer. He's been through treatments. He's been through everything. But given the opportunity to trash Donald Trump, the Republicans, and try to pump up his legacy, boy, they dragged him out. I don't know who does this. It can't be him. He can't sit there going, I want to go out and talk to people about it. It's his wife or Obama or some other candidate. It's like, can we get this guy? And the thought that he would be a plus to anything you're pushing it just shows how ridiculous the Democrats are. No one's watching this guy and thinking, wow, he's awesome. No one but the nuts that always thought he was awesome. They will never say anything bad about him. But you're not going to change anyone's mind with the likes of Joe Biden. You're not putting him out in front of an audience behind a podium, and he's not going to say anything that you go, wow, that was really well said. And I think I better address some of my opinions. He's gone. He's a mess. And now he just goes out and lies even more blatantly than he did when he was the figurehead president. So here's a couple of clips. The first one, he's yelling, and he does he goes from that low speak, and he's always done this, but it seems even more pronounced now. It must be part of the dementia. He speaks, and then he starts yelling, and then he tells the people he's not joking. It really is every hacky impersonation of Joe Biden come to life. Like, really, it's really him. But he does go, no joke, no joke. No, I'm serious. I'm serious. Like, what? No one was questioning that it was a joke or that you're not serious. We're just saying it's an absolute lie. That's what we're saying. So here he is talking about Trump making money during the presidency, during his presidency, Trump's presidency. Let's listen, shall we?
Has anyone noticed how much the Trump family has made while he's been president and put in their pocket? Reported $1.8 billion. Can you imagine that? If any other president in American history did that, can you imagine what would happen?
Yelling. I was getting anxiety listening to that, like it was my dad just come home from work, and he started yelling. I got a stomach ache, is what I used to say as a kid. But there he is, yelling about Trump's family, mind you, making money. The Trump family is a dynasty. They've made money for years. They've gone through very good times, very bad times, and they are where they are right now because they have businesses. Trump, during his presidency, has handed those businesses off to his sons and his daughter, and they run a very profitable business, the Trump empire. See how that works? He had some of these businesses before he was president, and then his kids continued with that and made money for the family business. Does it say that the president's family can't make money during the time he's president with legitimate business dealings? Not your son, your drug addict son selling his spitball straw and paint paintings for $500,000. Oh, yeah. That wasn't to get access to the then vice president and then the president. You're talking 12 years that Joe Biden was either vice president or president, and access to him was being sold, allegedly, but it's so obvious. That isn't a problem. If any other president did that, you did it. What are you talking about? Trump, his family took over the business while Trump is in office. Trump doesn't take pay. He's putting money out of his own pocket and getting donors together to pay for the ballroom. And they just can't stop with the, hey, he's taking money, made a fortune. Here's the other idiotic thing he says. Do we got time for this? Might have to come back. Let me see. All right. Yeah, play the other clip of how his wages were up and inflation was down.
But folks, we rule. We got the respect of the world, not just because of the example of our power, but the power of our example. Yeah. That's why the world follows us. Not a joke. When I was president, wages were up and inflation was down.
It's a lie. That's a lie. Wages weren't up and inflation wasn't down. Oh, my God. All right, we'll talk more about this when we return. It seems that some of the Democrats have softened, come on over to the correct side, and I guess they're setting up to vote, but they have some of these Democrats that were necessary. You know, you listen to the Democrats talking about how this was Trump's shutdown because Trump is the president. They have the House and they have the Senate. So that makes it their shutdown, Republicans. But truth be told, they needed 60 votes. They did not have 60 votes. Now it seems that, you know, Trump stuck to his guns. The Republicans stuck to their guns. They did not want a bill that reopened the government that had a bunch of these liberal programs attached to it. Health care for illegals, and health care. It's not a time to discuss health care, even for Americans, on a bill that's just supposed to reopen the government. They go, oh, Trump doesn't want to talk. Trump won't even sit down and negotiate with us. Right. After you sign the clean bill to reopen the government and people start getting paid and we go back to not being petrified to get on an airplane. How about that? Now we can sit down and have a discussion about other things without it being stapled to a clean bill that opens the government. It was pure extortion. Talk about using starving children. I love that one. Trump is starving children to get his bill passed. No, you guys, the Democrats, were the ones that wanted all this crap attached to the clean Republican bill that just reopened the government. That's it. So there seems to be eight Democrats that are willing to go along with the Republican clean bill. And we'll see what happens there. But I could play this really quickly. I've done this before on the show, played it on the mic, and it seems to come through. Bernie Sanders, not very happy.
Process has been developed. It is impossible to delay the votes that are going to take place. And if that were not the case, that is certainly what I would do, because I think it is important that the American people fully understand what is being voted on today. Everybody in America knows that our current healthcare system is broken. It is dysfunctional. It is cruel. It is by far the most expensive healthcare system in the world, and the only healthcare system of any major country that does not guarantee healthcare to all people as a human right, covering every man, woman, and child. We are unique in that respect. And yet tonight, what this Senate is about to do is make a horrific situation even worse. So let's be clear.
By reopening the government?
If this vote succeeds, over 20 million Americans are going to see at least a doubling in their premiums in the Affordable Care Act. In my state of Vermont and throughout this land.
Well, 44 million Americans will see their SNAP benefits. So doesn't it all equal out there, Bernie? What's so weird in this day and age? I didn't pre-listen to what Bernie just said. I just popped it up to the mic and played it. When in history did you have to worry that he was going to drop an F-bomb? Like, I didn't even think about that because, it's Bernie. It's a politician. We've lost all sense of decorum in the American political system, where they're just dropping F-bombs, calling people a-holes, and saying the S word for crap. And halfway through that, I'm like, oh, gee, what if he curses? That isn't even safe anymore to play these clips without having listened to them beforehand. But hey, Bernie, how about this? How about a bill to reopen the government that doesn't have any blackmail, extortion, or anything attached to it? So now you and all the other politicians can go back to work and try to hammer out some type of health care thing. Why did the Republicans, why was it their responsibility to have to accept a Democrat health care bill on the bill to open the government? Why? They won't even talk to us. They won't even sit down at the table to talk to us. Yeah, after the government's open. It's a totally different issue altogether. It's a totally different issue. Yes. So now if they do go through with this and the government opens, they can do their effing jobs and hammer out a health care deal or not. But at least they'll get together and talk. It seems like people like Schumer and the rest of them, they just wanted this shoved through with opening the government. No. Well, he won't even talk. Yeah, why? Why talk to the blackmailers? Why talk to the extortionists? So it could be good, could be good. I mean, I like how the Republicans and Trump stuck to their guns on this one. I was just going to comment, as a matter of fact, I was thinking about some of the material for the show tonight, and I was just going to comment on the dangers that seem to be building as time goes by without the government reopening. At first, everyone laughs and goes, well, 3 days went by, and I haven't noticed any difference in America, so why do we even need to have a government open? It seems like everything's working all fine by itself. As time goes on, and there is no funding for essential things, it gets a little dodgy. Air traffic controllers, for God's sake, could possibly be the most important job ever. Air traffic controllers. They are making sure these giant, miraculous steel machines don't bang into each other with hundreds of people on board them. Pretty important job. And the fact that, they weren't getting paid, it is concerning. And that's an issue that had to be taken care of. We started seeing right before Thanksgiving vacation that the airports were backing up. Planes were sitting on the runway for hours. People are at the airport bars with delays for hours. And I think that really starts getting these politicians off their asses to do something about it. And I think also enough people got the word that Democrats were keeping this bill from being passed and reopening the government. They could say whatever they want. Trump's shut down. He's the president. The Republicans have the Senate and Congress. And people just weren't buying it anymore. Hakeem Jeffries is out there every day trying to blame Trump. Even when he's being interviewed, and people said, because he would say, hey, Trump's the president, Senate and Congress are all a Republican majority. And they'd say, well, they need 60 votes for this. So some Democrat, blah, 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 don't want to hear it. Not listening to you, la, 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 not listening. So it's good to see. I hope it actually goes through. Bernie coming out like that and saying it's worse. It'll be worse. Really? Worse than a couple of wide-body airliners bashing into each other? We need health care. We need blah, blah, blah. It's got to be like Canada and England and Denmark. We are unique as a country. We're an amazing country. Settled the wildest of Wests. Immigrants came here and had the hardest time trying to build a life for themselves, and they did it and became American. And it just means we have certain innate differences with the rest of the world. We're a tougher breed. We don't agree. We don't all agree that everything should be given to us by the government. The government is supposed to set that table and let us lead our lives with the least invasion of our lives from the government as is possible. And the Democrats just seem to want to have every inch of our lives under their thumbs. Government health care. Sorry. No, I don't agree with that. I do agree, like we have now, that if people are really in a bad way, that they get medical attention. No one can be refused if they walk into an emergency room. I know that's different than having the money for a lot of medical care before you get sick, preventative care. But it's like everything else in this country, the very unique America. You need to build that up. You need to get to the point where you can afford better health care. I'm sorry, but that's the way it is. You'll get health care. No one's going to be refused health care. But for better health care, yeah, I want the best doctor that is humanly possible to work on me if I get ill. And I know damn well that I have the insurance policy to pay for that. Why should the bar be lowered under this standard state-run insurance and medical care? And now I have to wait 3 months to get treatment. I have to get a doctor that isn't the best doctor I could possibly afford. Well, this person can't get that. Well, I'm sorry about that. I was in that boat for most of my life. And yeah, Bernie, America is very, very unique. And that's part of it. We earn what we get and what we're able to get. I'm sorry. That's just the way it is. Don't like it? Move to Denmark or Sweden, wherever the hell that is. All right, back in a flash. Stick around. Oh, Eric from Orlando. What's up?
Hey, Anthony, what's happening? Yeah, I have a feeling there's going to be a new game coming back to New York. If we remember Which Way is North, and there might be an Arabic version of it, too, where they smack you with the sole of their shoes.
Oh, yes. Or a copy of the Quran. Yeah, Which Way is North? We used to talk about that on the old O&A show. You'd be walking down the street, and someone would come up to you, a fine gentleman, and say, yo, man, which way is north? And you would go, oh, I think it's... And you wake up, and your kids are grown next to your hospital bed. Your wife is crying, and you go, what happened? And Christmas music is playing, and you just remember it being summertime. You were clocked right in the face. There's the knockout game. There was wilding back in the old days. I remember a thing called wilding, Eric. Do you remember that?
Oh, I certainly do on those days of the show.
Yeah, and the pools, the public pools in New York City used to have wilding in the pools, and that was when guys would get together, make a whirlpool, and then sexually harass young women that were in the pool. They work together like killer whales do when they're trying to get a seal off of an ice floe. But, we'll look forward to that, Eric, with the Mamdani mayorship. This is a terrible story. And it just shows, though, it has to be said, it shows how horrible, how unbelievably horrible New York City is. And they need to lock these violent criminals up. They are not doing it. This isn't my opinion that they're not doing it. There is proof positive. The DAs and the judges are not prosecuting these people. And when they are, the corrections department is letting them out. They're paroling people. They're putting them on probation. And these are violent criminals. And they're getting out after just a couple of years for committing some of the most heinous crimes. Chaos erupts during arraignment for creep. Oh, he's just a creep. Accused of raping 12-year-old girl in a New York City stairwell. A creep, you know. The family of the 12-year-old girl allegedly raped in a stairwell of a Brooklyn housing project. Oh, boy. Nearly came to blows with the twisted homeless creep accused of carrying out the horrific attack. Eric McMichael, 27, nice Irish boy, I guess, was arraigned in Brooklyn criminal court and hit with a slew of new charges for viciously attacking the young girl and threatening to shoot her if she didn't follow him into the Williamsburg stairwell Thursday night, prosecutors revealed. But during the brute's court hearing, a brute, he's a creep and a brute. Can we call this like we sees it, people? Many of the victims' loved ones who packed the courtroom shouted and cursed at the suspect. And judge, also, they shouted at him before being escorted out. They should not have been escorted out. The family of this girl has every right to be outraged, not only at this piece of garbage that should have been taken out by the police instead of arrested. They have every right to be in there and to be mad at the judge. Yeah. The judges in New York City need to learn they cannot let these people back out onto the streets. And if you think Mamdani is going to make this better and safer, you're out of your mind. You 85% of women that voted him in, welcome. Welcome to this world. McMichael, I'm McMichael, don't you know? Where's my shillelagh? Who was previously nabbed for a violent 2019 Staten Island rape. Let's see. 19, 20, 6 years. 6 years for a violent rape in 2019. Dragged the young girl into the stairwell, shoved her to the ground, committed the heinous sexual attack. Rossman, I guess this is a district attorney, the DA, Jordan Rossman, said the distraught mother called the police and took her daughter to the hospital in stable condition. McMichael was arrested Friday afternoon after his parole officer identified him in a surveillance video captured at a nearby laundromat. His parole officer. He should not have a parole officer. He should be in prison, locked up. Why is this guy out? Who did this? And why aren't they being held accountable? The DAs, the judges, the politicians, Hochul, Cuomo, all these people that put in place this bail reform and paroling violent sexual offenders. Girl's 12. She'll never be the same. Prosecutors said the violent suspect allegedly admitted to being in the lobby of the building. He said he talked to a woman, kissed her, hugged her, grabbed her, pushed her, and that's all he's saying he did. He now faces 4 counts of first-degree rape, 2 counts of second-degree rape, second- and third-degree burglary, including a sexual-motivated felony, 2 counts of sexual misconduct. It just goes on and on. He previously arrested October 22nd, 2019, after allegedly stealing a 29-year-old woman's phone and raping her at knife point in an abandoned Staten Island building. Police said Michael, who lives in a homeless shelter, lives in a homeless shelter on Clay Street, pleaded guilty to the rape and was ordered to undergo mental health treatment. The Staten Island Advance reported that he's being held now without bail. He's due back in court on Thursday. What the hell are you doing, New York? How did it get to this? And that being said, you then elect Mamdani and Alvin Bragg. You reelected him as the Manhattan District Attorney. What do you think? That's going to make it better? You want more 12-year-old girls to be sexually assaulted? It's astounding to me. They don't see this. And then they smile and say, vote for me. It's absolutely insane. And it will not get better under Mamdani. Back in a moment.
Everyone loves when I talk about our good friend Steven Singer. Hey, it's Anthony Cumia here. I've been telling you about Steven, the I Hate Steven Singer guy, for decades. If you haven't heard yet, Steven Singer Jewelers was named one of America's leading jewelers. There are almost 18,000 jewelers in America, and less than 50 jewelers have received this wonderful honor. Just another reason why other jewelers hate him. They hate Steven Singer. Steven's a jeweler you can trust. He has the best guarantees, the best warranties, and all at the perfect price 365 days a year. Steven always has the best value on real diamond jewelry. No phony sales, no fake discounts or pricing games, no nonsense ever. Just easy and fun. That's why he's considered one of the most trusted jewelers in America. No one does diamonds better. Experience the difference at Steven Singer Jewelers. Online at IHateStevenSinger.com. That's IHateStevenSinger.com.
All right. Some footsteps.
Hello, Anthony.
Lenny, how are you, sir?
Those illegals get health care. They go into our emergency rooms and they use 911 for cost service. They're getting it. Why are they lying? These multiple people who get arrested and everything, they want them out on the street. They want them out here. You know, people, Bragg, this just shows you the mentality of the people in New York when Bragg gets reelected. He's no good. And he lets the criminals out and they vote for him because it's a communist city. New York is a communist city, Anthony. And I just want to say, people, they're complaining, they're surprised. They let millions of third worlders in, and the millions of third worlders vote for a third world American-hating mayor. Go Buchanan, go, baby, go!
I know. There he goes. I knew it was Buchanan guy, but he makes a good point before he yells, "Go Buchanan, go!" Yeah. It really is. It's already this socialist kind of dystopian city, New York. New York's been through good times and bad times over the course of the years. And while there may have been a hell of a lot more murders at the time David Dinkins was in office as mayor, we are really in bad times now overall. There's less murders, but boy, everything else. And it doesn't mean you're safer as a commuter. I think a lot of the murders going on in the 80s and 90s had to do with crack, of course, was a big thing. And the mob. The mob was a huge contributor to the murders in New York City over the 80s and 90s, 70s, 80s and 90s. But you don't feel safe in New York right now. You just don't. It's this weird feeling where even with your head on a swivel, constantly, mind you, you just don't feel safe. If you're walking down the sidewalk looking at your phone in New York City, stop doing that. It's like looking at your phone while you're driving. You're just putting yourself in danger. You're not paying attention. Something could happen that you're missing, and you end up in trouble. That's what it's like walking down the sidewalks in New York City with your phone. The least that'll happen is they'll just snatch the phone out of your hand and run. Maybe they'll see you with a phone, want to snatch that out of your hand, and maybe want to grab your wallet and kick your head a few times. That's not out of the question. That's on the menu. Seen that. We talk a lot tonight. We've talked a lot tonight about how young women in this country and in New York City, we've seen lately with the Mamdani election, that young women, they don't know a lot about what they're voting for and what they're getting and what's behind a candidate and an election and how important it is and how you got to take your dumb emotions out of it and vote on substance, reality, not he's cute, not I like his TikTok videos, not, ooh, free stuff. How about doing a little research and realizing, hey, the money, Hochul, isn't going to flow to Mamdani for the free stuff that I voted for. Now, if you know that, are you still voting for the guy because you were all revved up about free stuff? If you knew that the money won't come in for the free stuff and they won't have free buses because Hochul says we need that money, would you not vote for him? Or would you still go, he's cute, he's got TikTok video? That's where 85% of his female voters came from. Insane. So here's some young women on the streets, and they were asked, how would you change the Constitution? Listen to this.
So if you guys could change the Constitution in one way, how would you change it?
Perverse gov major.
I was literally going to say legalize abortion. Maybe abortion laws, rights to abortion, like transgender rights to have surgery, without necessarily parental consent. Yes, you have freedom of speech, but that doesn't mean you have right to sit there and scream at someone because they choose to change their gender or they love the same sex, things like that.
So should we add trans rights to the Constitution?
Absolutely. Definitely adding in policies that make healthcare more accessible for immigrants as well as people in low-income communities. I just think we need to get the old white out of power, but that's not really a Constitution issue.
None of what you said is a Constitution issue. We need to get the old white man. Right. The eternal villain of the world, the old white men. That is just a great example of the 18 to 29-year-old demo, 85% of which voted for, or 85% of their demo voted for Mamdani. They don't even know what the Constitution is. They don't know, abortion wasn't in the Constitution. And when the Supreme Court decided that it was a states' rights issue, they actually thought it was torn out of the Constitution. Oh, abortions. Oh, I get it. Just rip that out of the Constitution. It was never a constitutional right. And, you know, you can't just say things about people's sexuality that, yes, you can. That is in the Constitution. You can yell about people's sexuality, their anything you're upset about, you're allowed to yell about it. It's the First Amendment. Should there be transgender rights in the Constitution? There are. That's the whole thing, the Constitution. It's everyone's rights, regardless. Race, creed, color, sexual preference, whatever it is, it's already there, you dopes. They'll never understand it. And, you know, the founding fathers are getting a bad rap, too. They knew the deal. They knew. You know, the Constitution is just a living, breathing document. They knew that times would change. Yeah, they knew times would change. They didn't think the whole country would go bat crap. FCC. Yeah. They knew that times would change. Hence the Second Amendment saying shall not be infringed. You know, it didn't say AR-15. They always say that one. It doesn't say the right to bear weapons of war. It absolutely did. There were no weapons back when the Constitution and the Declaration, the Bill of Rights were written, that said you couldn't own weapons. They were weapons of war at the time. And they just, you know, they don't know this. They don't want to face it. And they're too stupid to educate themselves about it. So many rights. And transgender rights. That's it. The founding fathers sitting around. Ironically, we talked to John Hancock about the transgender rights. What say you, Hancock? Well, they just don't get it. They don't even know what the Constitution is. And that it does already cover so many, every person in this country. They want their own special little constitution for their special little group, don't they? That's what they want. Ugh. Here's another woman. We're doing a lot on women tonight, aren't we? Another woman talking with, the amazing Joe Scarborough on MSNBC, just mere weeks away from being MSNOW and having absolutely no viewers. They're changing it. It's no longer going to be affiliated in any way with NBC News. So good luck there, MSNOW. So this woman's talking to Joe Scarborough, and it seems she doesn't believe that the police and a police presence makes a city safer. She believes that maybe the opposite is true. She can't fathom that when a police presence is in the city, like we've seen in New York, when there are cops standing on those street corners, patrolling the streets, there is less crime. Them's the facts. But she doesn't agree with this for her own reasons. Let's listen.
You don't think more police make streets safer?
No, Joe. I'm a black woman in America. I do not always think that more police make streets safer. When you walk down the streets of Georgetown, you don't see a police officer on every corner, but you don't feel unsafe. So what is it about talking about places like Southeast D.C., right? Ward 8, if you will, that people say, well, we need more officers to make us safe. I think we have to rethink what safety means in America.
Stop with the rethinking. That's another thing. Some people love to take an issue that is so blatantly obvious what the issue is and then go, no, we need to rethink that. Why? Because Georgetown is safe and you don't need cops on every corner in Georgetown, but in Ward 8, you do. Well, let's figure out why that is. There's more crime going on in Ward 8. So that's where the cops go. There's a lot of cops where the crime happens. You don't need it in Georgetown because it's a nice place. How about that? Imagine a realtor suggesting Ward 8 to you. It sounds sci-fi. It sounds dystopian. It just, there's a lovely house in Ward 8. I never want to live in a ward. That's one thing. Don't put me in a ward. I don't care what number it is. Ward 1. I'm not staying there. Another thing is a number block of, like, oh, this happened on the 400 block of the MLK Boulevard. I don't want to live on give me a street name. Sunflower Street, Main Street. I don't want it to be relegated to a number on a block like a prison. Yeah. And places like Ward 8, I could see why there's a lot of cops there. How about just start naming these places a little nicer so we don't have this impression that it's really, really bad. But yeah, she doesn't want to face why police presence drives crime down, because they're there to arrest people. Most people don't want to be arrested. I don't know. I don't really have a statistic for this, but I've watched enough videos. Most people don't want to get arrested. And if they're committing crimes, they'll try not to do it in front of police officers. There you go. So a bigger police presence on those streets will drive crime down. Just seems to figure. And then to bring up that she's a black woman and she doesn't agree that police on the streets will drive crime down. Again, this perception that somehow the police are what are endangering the black communities around America. And every week, I mean, you see this Chicago stats this week, 25 shot, 4 killed, and just a number of other incidents of violence in Chicago. Where do you think that's happening? In the nice areas of Chicago where you don't really see a lot of cops? And there'd be more crime if the cops weren't in these areas. It shows that you need more police officers in some of these high crime areas. But you got what's his name there? Mayor Johnson. Mayor Johnson. Where is he? Here he is. Mayor Johnson talking about it's Trump's fault. It's where's that story? Oh, there it is. Yeah. Okay, Mayor Johnson, Chicago. He's blaming Trump for failing Chicago businesses. Now, maybe it's that they don't want to open a business in these crime-riddled areas. But let's listen. Maybe Mayor Johnson has a case here.
I want to appeal to the people of Chicago. Where you can support local businesses, particularly in our black and brown communities, please do that. Many of these local grocery stores and these businesses have seen a 60% reduction in their sales and their revenue. Donald Trump has done more to harm our economy than any other president in modern history. He is an abysmal failure.
How do you put that together? How do you put that your businesses, and especially he's talking about black-owned businesses in black communities, run by black people, jobs given to black people from the community, those are failing. And there's not as many opening up. And why? Ask yourself why. Donald Trump? or the fact that you've let crime get to such a level that they won't open a new store there, that they're getting robbed when they try to open, that the employees they hire are stealing from them, that when they leave their business at night, they're getting beat up and robbed in these communities, that the only people with the wherewithal to put up with that seem to be Asians. I don't know what it is. I guess if you've spent your life in Vietnam over the course of the years, it's a breeze. You're used to it. Or some of these real garbage Southeast Asian nations. You come over here and go, yeah, sure, I'll do it. But, how about face that cold, hard truth? How about doing something about that? Well, I can't do that. My supporters. I'll seem like an Uncle Tom, or I'll seem like I'm not for the black communities. Saying that businesses are abandoning the black communities and blaming it on Trump makes you look like the idiot you are, Mayor Johnson. Truth is, you got to get tougher on crime. Allow your cops with their ridiculous cab driver hats. First, change the hats on Chicago Police Department. They look ridiculous. They look like the Johnny Cab from Total Recall. Just give them real police hats. That's my take. That's what I'm running on. That's my platform. But let them do their jobs. And then start, indicting and convicting and imprisoning the people. You have a gang problem in Chicago that is second to none. Not even L.A. has a gang problem as bad as Chicago. And you just will never address it. Blame Trump. Keep blaming Trump as the bodies stack up every single weekend. By the way, the 25 shot and 4 killed, that was before today. That was just Friday and Saturday. But, it's Trump. Oh, if only they would do something substantial instead of the blame game. All right, back in moments. Don't go anywhere. More of the Anthony Cumia Show in moments.